Mr. Carter, thank you very much for coming in today. I do understand that you are in a divorce or looking to get a divorce.
Yes, sir.
Just before we get into any of that, tell me a little bit more about Illinois and if you went there for undergrad.
Whew, my day back in Illinois. Had a great time. Undergrad there. Played a little ball. Back then it was the old days. We really didn't have those high tech helmets and stuff like that. So maybe concussion here and there. But I love the game. And eventually it helped spark me into my field of being a personal trainer. So that's what I like now, and I love being there. Loved it. It was great.
Okay. Yeah, and what position did you play when you were playing ball?
Oh, I was a corner. Nice cold back in my day, man. I'm telling you, I used to lock down the top receivers. Randy Moss used to lock them down all the time. But it was great back in my college days. Yes.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite professional team now, then, or are you just strictly college?
My favorite team is probably the Kansas City Chiefs. I thought I was going to get drafted by them. They didn't want me too short, but I still love them, still root for them.
That's unfortunate that you didn't get drafted by them.
Yeah.
But before we really dive into why you're here today, I just want to explain the fees, and what it would cost to have us represent you. And I will admit that they are a bit high in terms of, but with the cost comes great representation.
Okay.
And so I just want to state that there's a $3,500 retainer, so that means you'd have to give us $3,500 before representation would start.
Okay.
And with that $3,500 would come this agreement as well, signed. We'll give you a fresh one after. I just have to mark this up at this time. In addition to that, I charge $355 per hour for my services. So anything that I do, from an email to a telephone call with you to just research in general, will be charged at $355. Anything that my associate attorneys do will be charged at $215 an hour. Then anything that my assistants do will be charged at $205 an hour.
Okay.
And if you are comfortable with that pricing, then we can move forward.
Okay. Thank you.
So since you are comfortable with that, the next step is that we'll go through this client questionnaire. This questionnaire really lays out for me the background of the situation before we dive into anything. And the first couple of questions are really questions that you'd be asked in a job application.
Okay.
And then more asking about some personal things about your family, your current situation with your wife, just some of those things. So then I have a background before we dive into anything.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So if I could have your, so it's Bryson, correct?
Bryson Carter, yes. Bryson. Middle name is Montrell, Montrell. Carter, Carter.
And what is your address?
Address is 825 North 22nd Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
And zip code?
53233.
And is that Milwaukee County?
Yes, it is. Yes, sir.
And do you have a cell phone?
Yes, I do. 414-250-6284.
And do you have a personal email address as well?
Yes, it is bryson.carter@gmail.com.
And what is your birthday?
My birthday is January 7th, 1963.
And were you born in Wisconsin?
Yes, sir, I was. Born and raised.
And what is your social security number?
339-704-2424.
And is Illinois, so your bachelor's degree, is at the highest level of education that you receive?
Yes, Illinois, yes. Yes, sir.
And are you currently employed?
Yes, sir, I am.
And who's your employer?
I am a personal trainer for the YMCA.
And what is your current work schedule at this time?
I work Monday through Friday. I have a usually a morning shift from probably about 6 a.m. to maybe 9, and then I have another one from 6 p.m. to 8 in the evening.
Okay. And then what is your grossly monthly income with that position?
Mine is I make 30,000 a year.
And do you have any health concerns?
No, sir, I do not.
And now we'll just go through the same questions with your wife.
Okay.
And her first name?
Her first name is Rachel, Rachel.
And middle name?
Elizabeth, Elizabeth.
And last name?
Carter.
And what is her address? Are you still living together, or?
Yes, we're separated, but she's residing with her mom right now.
Okay. And what is her address?
Her mother's address, I think, is. I'm sorry about that. I think her mother address is 638 West Wisconsin Avenue, and that's also in Milwaukee.
And zip code?
53233.
And that's Milwaukee County again?
Yes, sir.
And her cell phone number, do you have that?
Yes, it's 414-214-0319.
And do you know her personal email address?
Hers is RachelElizabeth@gmail.com.
And what's her birthday?
Her birthday is March 3rd, 1960.
And was she born in Wisconsin?
Yes, she was.
And do you know her social security number?
Hers is 339-160432.
And what is her level of education? Did you meet her at Illinois, or?
We did meet at Illinois, but she has a PhD. She's an engineer.
Okay, and where's her PhD from?
PhD is from Wisconsin-Madison.
Okay. And is she currently employed?
Yes, she is.
And who's she employed with?
She works for Boeing as a engineer.
And what is her work schedule?
She works Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, and she also does some overtime as well.
Okay. And do you know what her monthly income is at this time?
She makes around 95,000. Her base salary. Oh, I'm sorry. Her base salary is I think 80,000, and then she has the bonuses of 15,000, and then overtime is roughly 5,000.
And does she have any health concerns?
No, sir, she does not.
Okay. And then just to get a little bit more into your family life, do you have any children?
Yes, I have 2 beautiful young boys.
Okay.
Smitty, he's 17, Smitty. His birthday was April 3rd, 2001.
And you said his age was 17. And what grade is he in?
He is a sophomore.
And what school?
He's at the Milwaukee High School.
And do both your boys have your last name?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And then what is Smitty's social security number?
410-200313.
Okay. And then your second boy?
My second son is Billy, Billy. He was born February 17th, 2006. He's 12.
And
he's
grade in school?
He's in the 8th grade, and he's at Milwaukee's junior high school.
And what is his social security
Social
number?
Security is 210-13-0750.
Now, just a little bit about your current marriage with your wife. What was your date of marriage?
We got married on April 1st, 2014. April Fool's Day. I couldn't believe it. Thought it was a joke.
Yeah. And I noticed that you said that Smitty is born on April 3rd of 2001.
Yeah.
Is he then?
He's both of us.
Both of yours. Okay.
We had him before we got married.
Oh.
He was actually my best man at my wedding.
Where were you married? In city and state?
We were married in Wisconsin.
In
Milwaukee. Milwaukee, yes. Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
When did you last reside together? How long has it been since she's moved out and been living with
her mom? It has been a little over 4 months.
And have you been previously separated?
No, this is the first time.
Is your wife pregnant?
No, she's not.
And then what's your wife's maiden name?
Maiden name is Williams.
And have either of you taken any action at this point? Have you gone to court?
No, sir, we haven't.
Okay. Now, have either of you had any prior marriages?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, just a little bit about your assets. If you have any debt, do you currently own a home together?
Yes, we do. Our home.
And what's the value of your home?
It is worth $240,000.
And is there any mortgages on the home?
We had a first mortgage that was worth $200,000, and then we took out a home equity line that was worth $35,000.
And has that $200K still stand, or is that $200,000 been paid? A little bit of that been paid off.
It still stands.
It still stands.
Yes.
Okay. And then the equity was $35,000.
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you have any other real estate between the two of you?
Besides, we both have our own car.
Okay. And
actually, we also have my wife had a cabin that she received.
And when did she receive this cabin? Was this an inheritance on her part, or did you purchase it between the two of you?
It was an inheritance on hers, but I've been paying, the taxes on it for her.
And do you know what the value of it is?
I do not know the value of the cabin. But the cabin is only in her name though. But like I said, I'm the one that's been paying the taxes on it.
And do you have any vehicles?
Yes.
And what is the year and make of your vehicle? Are they under both your names or just one name?
They're under one name. We each have our separate own vehicles.
And what is your vehicle?
Mine is a Pontiac G6 sedan.
Sedan is the model.
Yes.
Do you have a lien on it?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. And what's the year?
2017.
Okay. Now her vehicle.
She has a Dodge Durango.
And a lien on that one?
No, sir.
No. And what was the year of it?
That's a 2017.
Okay. Any other vehicles between the two of you?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you have any retirement accounts? 401ks?
Yes, we both have 401ks. Don't know the exact amount in mine, but I have a small one. Hers, has had for like the past 15 years.
Okay.
And I don't know the amount of that.
Okay. Do you have any other accounts other than a 401k?
We have shared stock, which is 50,000, and that is basically from I received an inheritance from my grandfather. And we put part of it in stock, and another part is in a separate bank account.
And how much did you receive in an inheritance?
The inheritance was 500. No, the inheritance was 400,000.
400, and you said that 50 of that has gone into a stock.
Sorry, I apologize. I'm getting mixed up with my numbers, but no. So the inheritance was 400,000.
Okay.
No, not 400. 40,000. Sorry about that. I keep getting mixed up. And so that's what I got 4 years ago from my grandfather.
Was 40,000?
40K, yes.
Then how much did you put into the stock?
And so then I put half of it into the stock, and half of it is into another separate bank account.
Okay. And what do you mean by separate bank account? Do you currently have the same bank account?
No, I have a separate split bank account.
So you have your bank account, she has her bank account. Okay. Now, do you have any debts? Do the both of you have any debts?
My wife just found out a week ago that she has a credit card that's worth $55,000. I'm not sure what she spent it on, but I also have 2 credit cards that probably amount to about $12,000. That was spent on Billy's sports for his baseball, travel, and his personal trainer, and then we took a family vacation.
Okay. And just to quickly touch on your spouse's credit card debt, that is something that we can easily figure out. Because both parties have to provide a financial agreement, which really lays out everything that they've spent money on, all their financials.
Okay.
So everything that they own, everything that they have debts on, everything is given to both parties, and then both parties negotiate over that material.
Okay.
Or can negotiate over that material. So now, why have you come in today? Now we can start diving into that.
Okay, so basically, I spoke with my spouse, just me and her, just nobody else, and she basically wants me to agree to primary placement, and she basically told me that I need to agree to that, and that she'd be willing to let me, have the children every other weekend. Personally, I've, been taking care of them majority of their lives because she been working with that and doing a lot of overtime. So I basically have been the sole provider for them while growing up. Basically I don't agree to the primary replacement because I want to be with both my children as much as I can. I feel like the relationship I have with them, especially with Smitty, who I feel doesn't have that great of a relationship with his mother like Billy does, because Smitty is not that he's not involved in any sports. He has low grades, and Billy, on the other hand, is an A+ student, involved in baseball and stuff like that. And his mother really enjoys that, but I don't want her basically to show favoritism to Billy and not do the same thing with Smitty. So.
Okay. So why is she coming to you stating that she is primary placement? Is there a reasoning behind her claiming that she wants primary placement?
I would say, honestly, I'm not sure.
Not sure. Okay. And then you also mentioned that she doesn't have a great relationship with Smitty. Can you go into more of that? Is that just her stating that, or she doesn't treat them the same, or is it she's treating Smitty poorly?
Well, she basically with Smitty, Smitty's 17 now, and he has his driver's license, and she really won't let him drive because of his low grades. When that kind of it puts a big effect on me, for I'm the only one that can really take Billy to his sports
Okay.
stuff like that. So I understand the low grades part, but like being able for him to help out with just go to Billy's practice, pick him up and drop him off. Don't take the car anywhere else. Like I feel like she just solely doesn't even want to come to an agreement with that with him. And that's that.
And has she threatened divorce, or is this something that you are bringing on your behalf?
I'm bringing on. Well, it's kind of a little bit of both.
Okay.
I was recently had an affair, same sex partner, and so that kind of brought the whole thing down. That's one of the biggest reasons.
So she did find out about that.
Yes, she did. Yes.
And then that's how. Did that end up leading to why you are now separated today?
Yes.
Okay. And now, can I just have you go into your relationship leading up to the separation? Can you just explain what a day would be like for you? And not just, don't include like your work environment. Include at home. What type of situation is it? Is there anything going on that I need to know?
Well, going back to that, another main reason why she's want the primary placement. There's been a history of domestic violence with me and my wife. She's very she gets physical and verbally abusive, and that's another reason why I don't think Smitty. Smitty, anytime we have a fight, Smitty tries to step in and defend me and this and that. So that's another reason that they don't have that good of a relationship.
Okay.
And so basically, from my end, I'm kind of afraid that if I don't agree to her terms, then that I won't be able to see my kids as much.
And then you stated that there's this verbal and physical violence towards you.
Yes.
Is this, with the violence, is it hitting? Or is it just all verbal?
It's both.
It's both. So what is it, just like hitting you with an item, or is it with her fist?
Fist. She's
Okay.
got angry, and she uses her fists, and it takes a toll. And there was one point where I went into deep depression and had suicidal thoughts, and that happened 4 years ago. But I'm taking my meds regularly. I'm in therapy now, but it's been overwhelming. But I'm doing and taking the necessary steps to make sure that I'm the best father that I can be for my children.
Mm-hmm. And then with the depression, did you state that did this lead to you possibly considering suicide or
Yes.
trying to take your life?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you have any questions up to this point? I know this is a lot of information. I know that this is a difficult time for you, especially not only with the divorce, but I can't even imagine going through the situation that you've gone through. But do you have any questions up to this point?
My biggest concern right now is just how, I guess, primary placement will be decided.
Okay.
Basically, when who gets to decide who the kids live with, and how does that process go?
So there's always both parties talking to each other, trying to decide. If they can come up with an agreement between the two of them, then that's how it works.
Okay.
But based off of the information that you've shown me, and that she's requesting for primary placement, I don't know if that would work up to this point. So there's always court. Or prior to court, there's a mediation process where everything that we go into the mediation, everything is kept confidential in that scenario, and we try to work it out. It's a negotiation with a confidentiality layer to it. But with placement, do you understand what placement versus custody is?
Actually, I don't. So would you be able to explain, please?
So custody is decision making. You're making decisions for the child, and because Smitty's going to be 18 soon, that's going to be something that will play a factor in it because he does not. because when you turn 18, you come off of that, and you won't be making decisions because he will be an adult, unless there's another court document that is determined at that time. But custody, again, is decision making. What schools they go to, what sports they play in, those sorts of things, healthcare. Then placement is where they stay, the overnights.
Okay.
And with primary placement, you would be getting them most of the time.
Okay.
And that plays in a role into child support as well, because whoever has primary placement will be then receiving funds from the other parent.
Okay.
And that is determined by the court. That is determined by the court unless both parties again come to an agreement.
Okay.
So again, the basis of this is that you believe that you can work with your wife to come to an agreement, either in the mediation with me at your side or me working with the attorney one-on-one you don't even have to be in the room, since I understand that the domestic violence may play a role. I don't know if you'd feel comfortable sitting in a room with your wife. But the negotiation stage, I'd sit there, we'd go back and forth. Assets would be brought in, the amount of money, because currently your bank accounts, everything that is a marital asset, so that doesn't include inheritances, and that would then all be discussed, because technically it's 50-50.
Yeah, okay.
So you'd claim 50 of it, they'd claim 50 of it. So then some gifts can be if it's between spouses. But then again, like I said, just a refresher of all this, custody is decision making. So you can have joint custody or sole custody. I don't know what your preference would be, because joint custody is what the courts look to. Mm-hmm. So joint custody is you and your wife would have to come to an agreement. Okay. And again, I don't know if you feel comfortable with the situation that you're in, but also with the situation that you're in, you can get sole custody. Which sole custody is you making the decisions.
Okay.
And then again, placement. Placement, there's 3 ways. Again, 3 steps to that. And again, I'll stress that it's you come to an agreement. Mm-hmm. We'll write it up. The attorneys will write it up. They'll be done with it. If it's not, then we'll go to mediation. Hopefully, we can work it out there. If it's not, then a guardian ad litem is assigned to your sons. That guardian ad litem will then speak with your sons and determine what would be the best situation for them.
Okay.
And most of the time, whatever the guardian ad litem decides is what the court will decide. And then there's some other aspects to it that we can get into more detail if you do accept our representation and the terms of the agreement. But one other thing that I do want to stress is that you can get sole custody at this time because of your situation. And then I just want to dive into more about your assets. This is a completely confidential situation protected by attorney-client privilege. So anything, I need to know if there's anything that you're hiding, because if this comes out and during our negotiations that she knows about, that could look bad on me, that could look bad on our situation. So anything that you tell me will be kept confidential, and I will work to see what I can do to make sure that if they have that information, I will do my best to be able to recover from that. Okay. Yes, so is there anything that you're hiding at this time?
No, I told you everything. Like I said, my total assets is like $400,000.
Okay.
So $400K, and that should be everything that I disclosed already.
Okay. So, do you have any other questions up to this point?
My one another concern would just be with my mental history that I disclosed. Mm-hmm. Would that have any effect on me receiving the kids, or
So, based off of what you've told me, you stated that you were seeing a therapist.
Yes.
And that you're taking pills, correct?
Yes. So medication regularly. Okay.
Yes. So what we can have is if this does reach court's level, we can have the therapist come in as an expert.
Okay.
That the way that the expert would be paid is you would pay for the expert to stand to talk on your behalf.
Okay.
And that is stated in the service agreement. But really, if the therapist is on your behalf, if you're taking your pills all the time, of course that's what they're going to bring up. They're going to state that you're unstable to take care of a child. But if the therapist can speak on your behalf, stating that you're stable at this time, as long as you keep taking your pills, or he's seen great improvement, that's something that there's a way to get around that too.
Okay.
And then there's always the way of money. A negotiation tactic would be to give them more money if possible.
Okay.
But at that time, because of what you've stated with the therapist, and the therapist most likely will talk and state that you are fit to take care of a child.
Okay.
So that's how that therapist would be handled.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I had a couple more.
Okay.
Going back to the history of abuse and
Mm-hmm.
the imbalance of power with my wife making majority of the decisions. Just how I take that back. I guess you answered that because we go through the mediation and the arbitration. So you answered that.
I mean, I can refresh. I can restate it again.
Oh no, you're fine. I got it. I apologize. Basically, it would be just how are the debts divided? I noticed that the assets were 50-50.
That's the same thing with the debts.
Okay.
So the debts, as long as it's a marital debt.
Okay.
So if it's a debt that you handled off by yourself, and that was not a marital debt that we can describe as a marital debt that you made, to define marital debt, I will have to get back to you on that in terms of how her situation would lay out. But otherwise, because of that 55, and you're not knowing what it's for, or what she spent it on, that's something that when we get their financial status, or her financial status, that we can look to see and then determine whether or not you'd be included in that.
Okay.
But that's something that we can always negotiate around too. When we're in negotiations, we can try to figure out a price that will go with both parties that we can come to an agreement with.
Okay.
But again, your sole focus of this, correct, is that you now want sole custody.
Yes, I want sole custody.
You want, and then primary placement as well.
Placement, yes.
Okay. Okay. And is there any other questions that you have at this time?
That is all. Thank you for
Okay.
your time. You were great. Thank you so much.
So now I'm just going to run quickly through the next steps.
Okay.
So first off, I will sit by your side as I go through this service agreement with you. So as I stated before, Section 1 really just talks about the retainer fee.
Okay.
That it's going to be $3,500. And actually, because of how this has gone today, I'm actually going to take the $3,500 off, and I'm actually going to make it $2,500 for you.
Thank you so much.
So with that, again, as I can't stress more, before I can start doing anything else with this case, you have to pay that $2,500, and you have to return this service agreement.
Okay.
But not this exact one. We'll get you another copy
Okay.
from my assistant, as I have marked this one up for
Now,
you prior to.
Will the copy include this price?
I will write that one on there as well.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to show you that right now.
All
but
right.
again, good question.
Thank you.
I will write that on the other one as well. But again, and also in Section 1 states that the retainer fee will not cover all of the legal fees, or most likely will not. So we'll then charge you on a monthly basis.
Okay.
2 talks again about the retainer fee, and that might require more of another retainer fee during the course of our representation. Section 3, as I spoke about before, is how the breakdown of the work that is being done and how much it would cost. And again, that's by level of attorney. So myself would be $355. Associate attorney would be $215, and my legal assistants are $205 per hour.
Okay.
If it occurs, or if we do any work, in terms of you calling us outside of our business hours, which are 8:30 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, we'll charge you 1.5 times.
Okay.
That's for any unscheduled meetings or times outside of that. Section 4 states that you are responsible for all costs and expenses involved in this matter, and that if we pay for any costs or expenses on your behalf, for example, an expert, for example, any documentation that has to go to the court, you will then be responsible and you will repay the firm for those costs.
Okay.
5 is that any personal telephone consultations and emails will be part of your representation, so we will charge you for that time. 6 talks about hiring experts, for example, the therapist.
Okay.
If we get to that level, you will be responsible for paying for that expert, and including number 4, we can also make an advance payment on those experts, or we might require you to enter an independent agreement with that person.
Okay.
Number 7 talks about monthly invoices. We'll send you a monthly invoice. Once you receive that invoice, you must make the payment immediately.
Okay.
If there's a large amount of unbilled time, we may bill you more often than once a month. Or if you have unpaid for 2 consecutive months, we have the right to stop work until you have paid your invoices. Number 8 talks about 2 things. You can either set up a trust with us, which is the option of paying us right out of the gate, paying us a certain amount. So rather than the 35, in addition to the $3,500, you could pay $5,000. It all goes into a trust. That money, then we will send you a note that it allows us to withdraw the funds based off of the work that we have done, and we will send you a monthly invoice about that. Or you can fill out this form, which is a credit card pre-authorization form, which allows us to charge your credit card.
All right.
And that will charge or do that after 10 days after we have sent you your monthly invoice. 9 talks about levying a delinquency charge of 1.5% or a nominal rate of 18% per year on a balance that is unpaid after 30 days or more.
Okay.
Number 10 is talking about our ability to immediately withdraw from this case. And the reasons for that might be a failed to make a timely payment, or do not provide us with other forms of security for that payment. Or if you have misrepresented or failed to disclose any material facts, or if you have failed to follow our advice. If we want to withdraw, you are still required to make the payments that were left or that are left on your bill.
Okay.
Which is in number 11. 12, if you fail to fulfill your duties, you agree to bear the costs of collection, so that if we have to come after you to get those. Then 13, you have the right to terminate, but you have to give us a written notice that you have terminated our representation.
Okay.
14, we will send you copies of all the material that we are dealing with and sending in on behalf of your case. You can request additional copies, but you have to pay for those copies.
Okay.
We keep your file up to date, or not up to date, but we keep your file for 7 years.
All right.
Sometimes we keep them for longer, but mainly 7 years. If we have discarded of your case, if we've shredded it, you're out of luck. We no longer have it on file. 15 is talking about attorney's fees. If we go to court and are awarded attorney's fees, we will then put that towards credit, and then we will then give you the excess.
Okay.
16 states that we are not promising or assuring or guaranteeing anything for this outcome. We're not stating that you're going to win. We're going to do our best to make sure that you have it, that you're properly represented. And then also, win, lose, or tie, you still have to pay us.
Okay.
17 is just talking about malpractice and the coverage that we have here at the law firm. 18 is this covers just the services for trial court. Means this basic level. So if we were to go to court and win, if they appeal it, it is then up to my firm and yourself to decide to come to an agreement of whether or not we'll continue, representation will continue, and if it does, then a new agreement will have to be established. 19 is that this is the only agreement. This agreement form is the only agreement that we have, and that anything up to this point has been superseded by this agreement. Finally, 20 talks about the retainer fee represents the entire fee arrangement with this firm, and any mutually agreed upon changes, like the change that I've made with the $2,500, must be in writing.
Okay.
And as I stated, I will change that with the other one too. But this will be your copy to take with you.
Okay.
And again, we will need this with the retainer fee, or the copy that I will give from my assistant with the retainer fee, and before representation will continue.
Okay.
That's if you decide for us to continue. If you want to fill out the credit card pre-authorization form as well and hand that in, if you want to go that route, otherwise we can go with the trust.
Okay.
And then just some other things that we just tell everyone. It's really to be careful with technology. So Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and other social media. We can find anything that you post, anything that your wife posts that you post. No matter if you delete it, we will find it. And that's why you need to be very, very careful with the Facebook, the emails, your cookies. Even if you delete it off of your cookies, it's not gone. We will find it. We have people that will find it. So like instant messenger, text, Skype, FaceTime, everything is really, you just really need to be careful. So we stress that if you can go ahead and read through this and see what you should do and what you should avoid. And one of the big things that I point out is do not change your status relationship during the case.
Status? I can't say I'm single.
No. I know your generation's all about that Facebook. Whatever's on Facebook is what stands. So then this is the financial disclosure statement worksheet, which is kind of what I talked about before with the $55,000 in debt with your wife. She's going to have to provide the same sort of information. So if you do receive, so we ask you to now, when you go home, if you decide to continue representation with us, to provide us with all this documentation, and then once we've received that, we will then set up another meeting, which then you will bring in your financial follow this checklist, which then will fulfill this financial disclosure statement. So just bring in all this information.
Okay.
We will help you go through it and pick out what's important. You can take a step. You can take an attempt at this because it'll knock off some time.
Yeah.
But that's really just a checklist for you.
Okay.
To make sure that you have all that information. Any questions?
Thank you. No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you for your help. I'm looking forward to looking over this, getting back to you, and getting ready to get this show on the road.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, now some questions. Okay. What made you feel at ease?
First coming in, and then basically, asking, being observant. You seen that I got on the Illinois gear, and so you asked me how my, I guess, college days was. So then, that got me a little comfortable. Get to talk about myself for a little bit before it gets serious. So that made me feel at ease.
Okay. What stressed you out?
Not necessarily your part of doing anything stressing me out, but just, being in character, having to talk about the situation of the abuse and the same-sex marriage, things like that. Other than that, that's the only thing that...
Anything that I did that stressed you out?
I don't feel like you did anything that stressed me out.
Would you hire me based on my performance? Why or why not?
Yes, I would. I felt like you were very, like I said, first come when you started, made me feel comfortable. Then you basically explained everything very well. Went through the security agreement with me. Let me know what each point meant. And then overall, just your whole just character and nature just felt warm and welcoming, and you actually wanted to reach out and help me.
Very, very cool.